All right, so now we're going to take a step back and we're going to go back to your relationship management calendar and we're going to talk about the events. One of the biggest mistakes people make is they tend to do events that are too large. I want you to think about something for a minute. If your insurance agent called you and said, "Hey, I'm having a client appreciation event this Saturday, and I would love it if you could come. And I'm going to rent camels and clowns, and I'm going to have a bounce house and hamburgers and hot dogs and all this stuff. And it's going to be right in the middle of the day between 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock. Can you make it? Or will you make it?" Now think about that for a minute. Who is that event really about? Is it really about you and what you desire to do on the weekend? Or is it more about your insurance agent concerned about him feeling important to you? See, the key about events is to make it about the customer and make it comfortable for them to come to. Now, if you say to your insurance agent, "I'm going to come," and then you don't make it, you're going to have this weird guilt now, right? And it's going to actually hurt your relationship. If you actually go and you don't have a good time, it's going to hurt your relationship. You're also going to feel obligated to stay there for a long period of time because he spent so much because the expense was so high. It's kind of like going to somebody's wedding. Now think about this. Now if he called you and he said, "Hey, I'm having a happy hour on Thursday afternoon between 5:30 and 7 o'clock at the local brewery down the street. If you can make it, I'd love to buy you a drink. If you can't, that is absolutely okay too. By the way, how's life? What's going on in your world?" Now notice the difference in the energy. See, in those kind of events, it's very passive. If you show up or not, it doesn't really matter to him. Because if you show up, he's going to buy you a beer. It's going to cost him $10, maybe $11 between the food and the beer and the appetizer that he's going to buy you. If you don't show up, no skin off his back. If you show up, great, you get to spend some time with him. Now, what's the real reason for him to call you? Exactly, to find out what's going on in your world, to open up the opportunity to have a conversation about what's going on with you, and maybe you have some insurance needs. That's the secret to these small client events. I want you to think about events that cost little to nothing. Ice cream socials, happy hours at a brewery, wine tasting, chocolate tasting. If you don't drink alcohol, then be creative. You could go to places where maybe you paint a pottery or something like that. But here's the rules. You do not rent out venues, and you do not prepay for tickets. So movie theaters and those kind of things. And we want an atmosphere where there's engagement and conversation. Baseball games, movie theaters, those kind of things are very difficult to have conversation. So I want you on these small events to think about smaller, local kind of things that you can do. A barbecue at your house. You could do a shred day, a holiday pie pickup, things like that that are very low cost, okay? So the key with your marketing is you're going to start marketing it on social media. You're going to say, "Hey, I'm having a happy hour on Thursday the 14th. Please come by if you can." You're going to send an email that says, "Hey, save the date." You might, if you have time, mail an invitation. You can skip this step if you don't have time. I don't want mailing to become an excuse for why you're not doing these events. You need to be having these events at least 4 times a year, if not once a month, depending on your lead generation strategy that you learned earlier. Call in an invite. This is the real reason that we have events. We have events for the opportunity to call our customers and to let them know that we're thinking of them, even if they can't take time out of their busy weekend to come see us. Maybe they can pop in for a happy hour, but it's okay if they can't. And then the peak is the event. The peak, meaning your highest engagement with them, is the opportunity to see them. Now I want you to think about something for a minute. If you had a small event and 3 people showed up, is that going to be okay with you? I hope you answered yes. The answer is yes, if you called your database. If you have a database of 75 people and you called all 75 and 3 people showed up, then that was an outstanding event. It cost you less than $50 and you called your database. And that's the reason for having the small client events. So your homework is to finish your annual database marketing schedule. You're going to add events and you're going to build in your event funnel into your events. That's what those green highlights are, is to show you your save the date to the reminder, to the call invite, to the event. So it's to help you pre-plan each of your events prior to them coming, right? Because when you're in the middle of selling real estate and you're busy, you're not going to have time to stop and shift gears and plan events. You want to plan them now, and you want to have them, and you can make them traditions. You can do them year over year, every single year, so your customers know they're coming. Keep them up. Keep going. You've got this. I'm so proud of you. You made it so far. Add this to your plan, and I know that this is going to lead to success for you.